The Buffalo Bills ran 3 wide receiver sets, the 5th most in the NFL last year, and I believe that is definitely going to continue in 2023, even with the addition of first-round draft selection at Dalton Kincaid. But welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. We're going to be discussing Gabe Davis, Khalil Shakir, all these guys on this team, and how I really think this is all going to play out, and why I believe the Buffalo Bills really don't need a true number 2 wide receiver, rather just another option to Stefon Diggs. So really getting into it, Stefon Diggs is really the number 1 guy in Buffalo. We all believe in him. We all know and trust Stefon Diggs. But when he's bracketed, when he's covered, when he's taken out, you got to have another player available. And that leaves us with number 1 choice here that we would assume is Gabe Davis. Only 24 years old. Gabe Davis missed a game last year, basically a couple games after injuring his ankle in practice going into week 2. Really wasn't himself until after Thanksgiving, per Brandon Beane. Still came away with 834 receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns. And I think Gabe Davis really did halfway decent, even considering his injury, right? And knowing that it's an ankle, right? The thing with bigger physical style wide receivers is they struggle at press at the line of scrimmage, and they struggle at getting overall separation. So when you have an ankle, it just hurts his ability to even do that more so. If you're a quick, shifty type wide receiver, you can create space a little bit easier, but I think Gabe Davis really needs to step up here. And you look at his rookie year from 2020 to 2021 to 2022, Gabe Davis in 2020 and 2021 had the same amount of targets, around 63 targets for Gabe Davis in both those years, coming away with roughly the same sort of stats, 7 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns. And then this past year, he gets 30 more targets, gets 93 targets to Gabe Davis, and only has 7 touchdowns. Really didn't come away with more touchdowns, even with 30 more targets, and he had 300 more yards. So really looking at what Gabe Davis presents for the Buffalo Bills, knowing that maybe he does do best working in a rotation. We saw it working in a rotation with Emmanuel Sanders, and each and every year, Gabe Davis, his rookie year, had a 73% snap count, offensive snap count. The following year, with Emmanuel Sanders signing, he drops down to 57 or 50% snap count. And then this past year, he goes all the way up to like an 88% snap count for the Bills. So Gabe Davis really was utilized a lot on a per snap count basis for the Buffalo Bills in 2023. But we got to take a look at the other wide receivers and other weapons on this team. I really think Gabe Davis, he could do it, but working in a rotation on the perimeter with this offense. And we just have to understand really what this offense is going to be, and really what I foresee happening here for the 2023 Buffalo Bills. How we're going to utilize this offense in the middle of the field, marching our way down to the red zone, explosive plays. We're going to have likely the best players on this team, like even the most explosive players that can catch the ball out of the backfield, like James Cook, Nyheim Hines. Most likely Dalton Kincaid will maybe be tight end 1. Dawson Knox might not even be used until we get into that red zone area, And I think we're going to be utilizing 3 wide receiver sets here in trips. When you have 3 wide receivers stacked to one side of the line of scrimmage, and then you have a tight end right on the other side. And that's what the Kansas City Chiefs have been doing with Travis Kelce. They do these 3 wide receiver trips, 3 wide receiver sets, with Travis Kelce being the out wide perimeter threat. And that's what we have with Dalton Kincaid. And I really think that's what the Buffalo Bills are going to implement this year as a package in the middle of the field. When we get into the goal line, we get into the red zone, 2 wide receiver sets, both Dawson Knox, both Dalton Kincaid out there for Bills Mafia, makes a lot of sense for me. But really looking at what the Buffalo Bills did, we basically one-upped the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals running the most 3 wide receiver sets in the NFL last year because of the talent, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, right? Who's their tight end for this year? Irv Smith Jr. I think the Buffalo Bills, maybe we don't have the trio of wide receivers that the Cincinnati Bengals do, but we definitely have a better tight end group with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. I mean, that's absolutely huge. Irv Smith, 6'2", 240 pounds. Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, definitely better tight end, wide receiver, receiving tight ends for the Buffalo Bills. So maybe they have better trio of wide receivers, but we definitely have a better tight end. So that's great. And then seeing what we did with Dalton Kincaid, bringing in that matchup piece for the Buffalo Bills, going against the Kansas City Chiefs, giving them a little taste of their own medicine here for this upcoming season. I absolutely love it. And then getting into just the snap counts here. The one big concern I do have with Gabe Davis, each and every single year, he's had a higher drop rate. So from his rookie year to his sophomore year, he increased his drop rate by 3%. And then this past year, it increased again by 2%. So just knowing that, he's had a little bit of an issue with drops, it's just tough. It's tough. But you have to keep that in mind. Having more of a snap count going against better competition, kind of interesting. But Khalil Shakir only having a 25% snap count his rookie year for the Buffalo Bills, whereas Gabe Davis had that 73% snap count his rookie year. Not a lot of targets for Khalil Shakir, and all his snap counts were really in the slot. Now, when you look at it, Khalil Shakir actually was used in the playoffs, right? He had 5 targets, or he had 5 receptions for 90 yards. 5 receptions on 7 targets for 90 yards in the playoffs. So he had a lot of targets and routes in the playoffs. We definitely utilized Khalil Shakir in the playoffs. And really that signals a lot of trust from our coaching staff, from Ken Dorsey, putting him out there in the playoffs. I mean, you go home, you definitely got to have that. And then you have other players on this team like Deontay Hardy. And I think he could be utilized not only in the slot, but also on the outside on a matchup basis. You get a slower type cornerback on the perimeter, maybe we get him matched up on the outside. But again, 3 wide receiver sets, the trips, having 3 wide receivers stacked to one side of the field, having Dalton Kincaid on the far side, James Cook, Nyheim Hines in the backfield being able to catch passes, and then in the goal line, right? You get Damian Harris, Latavius Murray, Dawson Knox, a fresh Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. You get out there and go beast mode. And I really think Trent Sherfield, Gabe Davis, Justin Shorter working on the outside in rotation this year too. I mean, you never know who's going to win that battle. I think they're all going to get opportunities, just like Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hardy in the slot. It's going to be an awesome thing to witness here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. Go Bills!